Pedroia get honored pregame, and what was that like to, obviously, sounds like you were kind of spending a little bit of time with the guys in and around the clubhouse. How was it just to have them on the field there and get the win tonight as well with them in the head?
Dustin obviously is one of the faces of this program, so to have him back and be able to honor him for his career, necessary, I think, certainly for our program to honor him in a way that he represents this place. Great to have him back. It's great to have all the guys that flew in to support him for this day too, and came from all around to kind of honor him and the career that he's had and how he's represented this program in the professional game. So always great to have him around. His mentality is a breath of fresh air. He's what I want our guys to be like, from a mentality standpoint. Overachieve, do things that no one else thinks you can, and prove everybody wrong. And that's kind of what this program's been about the past couple of decades. And to have him here in this day was, like I said, necessary and one that we're happy to do, and great to have him and his family back.
Coach, you had just 4 strikeouts as a team tonight and none against the starter Stromsborg. And with this being your team's 5th straight game with 10+ hits, what do you have to say about your team's bat-to-ball skills these last couple of games?
Their approaches are getting much better. They're not chasing balls in the dirt. They're making breaking pitches get up in the zone for the most part, and I believe that's from not trying to do too much. Stay within themselves and trust the guy behind you. Pass the baton to him. Just have good at bat after good at bat after good at bat, and hopefully continue to get guys on base and make the pitcher uncomfortable and have to worry about the guys on base. So it's called a team offense. So it's nice to see, and guys are really the lineup is starting to lengthen out really well from top to bottom. It's not been overly top heavy where there's certain guys at the top getting it done and nobody at the bottom. This is it's been top to bottom really for the last 4 or 5 games, and it's great when you have guys that can do damage all the way 1 through 9. So it's been awesome.
53 runs in 4 games during a stretch where your team talked to some faces of the program, as you mentioned, like Barry Bonds and Dustin tonight. Do you think that had something to do with your team finding the offensive production that they've had?
If that's the case, we'll find somebody else to come in here next week and maybe get Ethier to come down and talk to him, or if somebody else, Calhoun or one of those guys too. So I think it certainly, for me as a coach, it certainly helps reinforce what we're talking about, that they, if there was any hesitation of what we're trying to preach, to hear some of the best in the game to ever wear the uniform preach the same stuff, it's kind of reassuring for us as coaches to know that, we are teaching them the right stuff. It's just a matter of buying in, and I think these guys are doing it, and they're making some adjustments. They're seeing the results of making adjustments the right way and staying in the middle of the ballpark and hitting off the fastball. All those sort of things that we preach and talk about are starting to come to fruition. So, but the message to these guys is don't get off it. Keep going. We haven't done anything yet. We got to keep going and keep grinding and keep moving forward and continuing to get better. So, but I'm really proud of the way they've swung the bats and put together really quality at bats for the most part the past 5 or 6 games at least.
Well, obviously the 2nd and the 7th innings were a little bit stressful for Kyle, but for him to get out of both of those, what did you see in that spot, and just what did you see from him? 73 strikes and 100 pitches and filling up the zone.
You said it. 73 strikes out of 100. Didn't beat himself. Had 0 walks again. I think there's some kind of correlation to not walking anybody and not giving up a big inning. So, but what do I know? He just continues to, when he has his good performances, it's usually a result of pounding the strike zone, not beating himself. He did that tonight, outstanding. He did get in a couple of sticky situations, but he was able to keep his composure and just make pitches. And in big moments, you got to trust your stuff and just make pitches, and he did. So very needed and very proud of the way he threw the ball. It was outstanding.
Coach, you said last night that you wanted some more length out of your starters this weekend, considering what happened at Colorado last weekend. Kyle did that for you tonight, but especially because the offense was a little bit slower to get into its rhythm. Obviously had those 2 homers late to really put the padding on. But how important was it for Kyle to come out, get an early rhythm and give the offensive guys, some quick turnarounds?
That's what we always strive for, to do that. The main thing was that Kyle did give us some length, give our bullpen a little bit of a breather. I actually thought our offense swung the bats really well early on. We just had a lot of hard hit balls at guys, so there were a couple chances to put up some big innings, but we did hit the ball really hard right at some guys. So I knew, had a suspicion that we were probably going to crack through against him sooner or later, as long as we kept putting together good at bats. And in the meantime, Kyle did his job. Got a lot of quick innings, got us off the field, get back to work offensively. That helps when you have a guy that's working in quick tempo and throwing a lot of strikes and keeping guys on their toes defensively. It helps an offense versus the alternative of falling behind every hitter and walking guys and just slowing down the momentum of the game. As a position player, I know kind of that can get frustrating at times, and it's much easier to play behind a guy that's working quick and down the strike zone.
You said several times that you go off of a whoever's available mentality per game. How big is it for Kyle to help you out in that, to have other guys be safe for tomorrow? And who are some guys that you're expected to potentially use that will be ready for hopefully the series soon?
Well, when you have a start like tonight that's 7 solid, you don't have to overextend guys out of the bullpen, and they're available tomorrow. Bod went 1, he's available tomorrow. Brock threw 6 pitches, he's available tomorrow. Webby threw 5 pitches, he's available tomorrow. We should have most everybody, if not everybody, from yesterday available tomorrow. So the length that a starting pitcher gives is invaluable when it comes to your bullpen health and keeping those guys fresh throughout the year, and let alone the weekend series. So I feel pretty good about who we can bring back tomorrow. We haven't even used Dougie yet this weekend, so imagine that. He's available tomorrow and feeling good. So I feel good about our situation tomorrow with our bullpen, and more importantly, I feel good that Tully's going to give us a good start and we'll have options. So assuming that happens, we'll have plenty of options to go to.
Coach, with Dustin being here, is there any specific parts of his game that you told your guys to emulate tonight?
Mentality. Dustin was respectfully not the most talented guy in the world, but don't tell him that. He's made a living of proving people wrong for a long time, and I think that's a tribute to a lot of guys in here. You have, on the other end of the spectrum, you have a guy like Barry Bonds that talked to us the other day that, quite honestly, might be the most talented guy in the world. But there are 2 different ends of the spectrum, and they both are, arguably 2 of the most successful Sun Devils of all time that played a very long time and had a tremendous major league careers. But I obviously side, because I wasn't very talented, I side with the guys like Dustin, where it's like, man, we have to play with mentality. We have to play with a chip on our shoulder. And for most of those guys in there, they aren't Barry Bonds. So they have to play with that edge and that chip on their shoulder, the mentality to overachieve and do the little things right day in and day out. So I think if there's something you can take from his game, it's playing with the passion and playing with an edge every single day, and getting excited about proving people wrong, because that's kind of fun.
Coach, can you just give a little bit more on how that mentality and how it's kind of played itself out in this program kind of fits into the takes no talent kind of mentality or slogan that you gave at the beginning of the season?
Well, I think with the parity across the board in college baseball, there's a lot of talented teams out there. What's going to separate you from everybody else? Especially when you're not the most talented team, you got to do all the other little things right in order to be successful. And sometimes it doesn't take Barry Bonds' talent. You can get it done with Dustin Pedroia talent, as long as you do all the other things that don't take, the mentality, the being a good teammate, the work ethic, all that type of stuff. That's what's important. Whether you're talented or not, that's the stuff that is important. It's going to bring you to the next level. And so for us as a program, I believe for us to be successful long term, we're going to have to create a mindset and a mentality that comes to compete every day and packs a lunch pail and let's go to work and do things that aren't common. For the most part, people love to talk about working hard, but do you really like to work hard? Do you really like to go the extra mile? show me. So that's part of what we're trying to incorporate with the mentality with these guys. And I think for the most part, a lot of them are starting to understand that, yeah, we can get it done. And those guys, people that don't believe in us, fine. We'll prove them wrong. We'll just keep grinding and keep moving forward.
Coach, it's been a long season, but after all the obstacles your team has faced, you're now just 2 games under 500, playing very well as the season gets to its most important games. What's the mentality you want in your team for a stretch run and a hopeful postseason appearance?
Let's go 1-0 every day. Come ready to play every day. Don't get ahead of yourself. I love the fact that, obviously I don't love the fact that we are under 500, but part of this is fitting, and the fact that a lot of people have written us off. Great, perfect, good for them. Don't come back when we're winning. So because we feel that it's us against the world, and we're going to keep that mentality regardless of our record being great or being poor. It's got to be us against the world, and for these guys finding that edge every day to come and compete hard every single day. And I think regardless of the outcome, that's the biggest thing I guess I've been proud of so far of these guys this year, regardless of numbers or stats or record, is that they come to play hard every single day. And we, again, may not be the most talented team out there. We get it. We're thin in a lot of areas, but these guys compete. And when you have a bunch of guys that are willing to compete, you can pull off something special.
Coach, what did you, on the triple attempt by Campos early on in the game that brought in a run, but then to kind of have potentially the momentum kind of be seized there, clearing the base paths? First off, what do you think of the call? I personally thought he got his arm in there. And second, what did it mean for your team? Did they use that as momentum to kind of keep themselves back up? Because the offense, like you said, the bats were swinging, and then they finally, towards the end of the game, actually got runs on the board.
It was a big momentum, especially we don't like to make the first out at third base. We do preach that, don't make the first or third out at third base, but it was borderline tough call. I thought he was safe as well, but Campy thought he could make it. I thought he was in there and made the right call to go. But certainly we tried to take the positive that, hey, we just took the lead, we got an RBI, keep going, big deal. Like calls are going to go against you, so you can let it own you and bring you down, or you can say, on to the next one, let's go, just keep putting good at bats together. So we tried to kind of rally that around that a little bit, and who cares? Next man up, let's go, next at bat, forget about it. Bad calls are part of the game. That's part of, respectfully, bad calls are part of the game at times. That's something that still we have a hard time with, understanding that you can't let one call that might be borderline that goes against you affect your whole at bat or affect your whole game. You got to get over it. These guys are trying hard, and they're not out to intentionally stick it to you. It just, calling a game's tough, and making a bang decision on a fly it's not easy. So those guys are out there trying to do their job the best they can, and I don't like our guys ever showing guys up, and I think they understand that. So we'll clearly. But I think they're getting better at it. We're not there yet. We still have to get better in that department.
Coach, you mentioned last night that
Connor Davis, everybody.
You mentioned last night that the lineup could look a little bit different. Slid Tobias into the DH spot today. He got an RBI after Rogers got his home run, double, that kind of performance last night. I mean, how much of a benefit is it to just slide guys in and out and they're ready to go?
Well, I think you have to do that, and it for me it's great because it gives me some flexibility to make some moves throughout the game and feel confident if I need to. But also, when you have options, it's a lot better than trying to figure out who you're going to put in there that might give you some production. So, to me, they're doing a great job of making my job difficult on who I'm going to put in the lineup every day, because there's a lot of guys that are deserving of being in there. Will arguably could have been in there again today. I think he would have matched up just fine against that guy today, but Toby's earned the right to be in there today, as well. So I just went with the left-right matchup. Toby hit a couple balls very hard and had some good at bats. So we'll figure out tomorrow. I'll watch some film on the guy pitching tomorrow and see who I think matches up best against him and go with that tomorrow. So, but it is good to have several options, and these guys are all contributing and feeling part of this. That's hopefully starting to build the foundation of guys that are hungry to play every day. And for those guys that are playing every day, you better perform, or we got guys that are ready to perform. So that's competition's a good thing.
Willie, Connor was talking about being aggressive at the plate, but in the fourth inning there was 3 straight at bats. Connor, Ryan, and Jacob each swinging at the first pitch. How do you kind of balance the swinging at the first pitch and being aggressive there, but also working counts and kind of the approach of that offensively?
Well, I think there's a difference between swinging wildly and swinging aggressively. So we love our guys being aggressive. The fastball's over the plate. So if the guy's going to lay it in there, go ahead. We want him hacking. Or if sitting on breaking ball and he leaves it up, go ahead. Like, as long as you're sitting and have a plan of attack when you're up there, to me that's what's the important part. I have no problem swinging at first pitches as long as you have the aggressive thought process and you don't deviate from it. If you're going up sitting fastball and you swing at a slider in the dirt, I have a problem with it. It's like, use your head in that situation. I get it, you get fooled on occasion, but if you're big loopy curveball and you're swinging at it, then I got a problem. So if you're not sitting on that, there's no sense swinging at it. But they're learning, they're getting better. I think you're seeing at bats get better and better every day. I think they're hopefully taking to heart what we're preaching about them, and the offense is starting to come together a little bit. So it's good to see.